3 days after I gave birth, my husband finally came to see me. But he wasn't alone. He brought a woman with him, someone I had never seen before. I was shocked but managed to ask, "Who is this?" My husband smiled and said, "She's my girlfriend, or better yet, my future wife." "What do you mean?" "I'm tired of you," he said. "What?" "My name is Linda. I'm 25 years old and work for a company. Not long ago, my boyfriend, John, proposed to me. We met in high school and started dating in our first year. We broke up once during senior year but got back together years later when we met again at a gathering with old classmates. As adults, things felt different between us. We went on many dates and soon started a new relationship. 3 years later, John proposed to me. "I will love you forever, Linda. Will you marry me?" I believed his words and happily said yes. Married life was wonderful. We both worked, so we only saw each other at night on weekdays, but I loved waking up next to him every morning. When we were younger, neither of us could cook, but after living alone in college, we both got better. John was great at frying food, while I was good at making Japanese dishes. We shared the chores and had a nice balance at home. I thought we would always be like this, supporting each other. Then, 1 year into our marriage, I got pregnant. I was overjoyed and told John right away. "John, I'm pregnant." He stared at me, shocked. "John? Oh my God, I'm going to be a dad." His reaction was slow, but he was so happy. At first, he took great care of me. "Linda, don't push yourself too hard. You can quit your job if you need to." "Thanks, but I'll keep working until my maternity leave." "Okay, I'll handle the house chores." "Thank you." Because of his support, I was able to rest well during my pregnancy. But as my due date got closer, John started coming home late. "Did you work late again?" I asked. "Yeah, I need to make up for the time I left early before. Now that you're doing better, I have to focus on work again." "I see, so you came home even though you were busy?" "Yeah, but I don't want to lose my job after the baby is born." "That makes sense." I was a little lonely staying home alone, but I understood his reasoning. I decided to stay at my parents' house once my maternity leave started. John agreed quickly. "That's a good idea, then I can work overtime without worrying." I missed being with him, but it was comforting to have my parents' help. At home, I felt relaxed. I didn't have to do housework, and my mom was there whenever I needed her. But something started bothering me. John was taking longer and longer to reply to my messages. Until now, no matter how busy John was, he always replied to my messages within a day. When I had morning sickness, he would reply right away, even while at work. But lately, I had to wait at least a day, sometimes even 2, for a reply. And when he did reply, his messages were short and cold. The other day, I texted him to ask if he was still busy at work and told him not to overwork himself. All he said was, "Yeah." Since I couldn't see him, I worried even more when he didn't respond. But stressing wasn't good for my baby, so I tried not to think about it. I decided to stop messaging him for a while and focus on happy things, like preparing for the baby. I bought a lot of baby supplies. "Oh, Dad, this is too much," I laughed. "No, it's just right. We need to make sure the baby is safe and comfortable. You're so excited to be a grandpa. And you're the one asking all the questions to the store clerk." "Thank you, Mom and Dad." My parents were just as excited as I was. Because of their support, I didn't feel too sad about John's slow replies. Then, my due date arrived. I sent John a message, letting him know today was the day and asking him to be ready to come to the hospital. But he didn't even read my message. Maybe he was at work. Still, he knew my due date was close. He should have been paying more attention. Then, my contractions started, and my parents rushed me to the hospital. I was finally going to meet my baby. I couldn't call John myself, so I asked my mom to leave him a voicemail, telling him I was in labor. But he never showed up. He didn't answer any calls. I had to give birth without him. Labor was harder and longer than I expected. The umbilical cord was wrapped around my baby's neck, making delivery difficult. Almost a full day after my contractions started, she was finally born. When I saw her tiny face and held her in my arms, all my pain disappeared. She was beautiful. "You worked so hard to come into this world, didn't you?" I whispered. Then, for a moment, I had to say goodbye to my baby. After the long and exhausting labor, I finally lay down to rest. When I woke up, I saw my mom sitting beside me, watching over me. "Are you feeling better?" she asked. "Yeah, I feel pretty good," I said. "I'm glad to hear that. But something seemed off." "Mom, what's wrong? You don't look well," I asked. She hesitated before saying, I haven't heard from John since we called him. That was true. What was he doing? He knew I had given birth. I was furious. Why hadn't he come to see me and the baby? I sent him a message, the baby is already born. A few hours later, he finally replied. I'll come the day after tomorrow. What? Why wasn't he coming now? I had tried not to think about anything negative before giving birth, but now, I couldn't hold it in anymore. Why can't you come now? Your own child was just born. Are you really so busy that you can't leave work? I was so angry as I sent the message, but John only read it. He didn't even reply. What is this? I shouted, frustrated. Just a few months ago, he was so happy about the pregnancy, so why didn't he care now? My parents were furious. My dad said he was going to give John a serious talk when he saw him. Finally, 3 days after I gave birth, John arrived. But he wasn't alone. He brought a woman with him. I was so shocked I couldn't speak. You seem to be doing fine, he said coldly, so don't send me messages like it's an emergency. Huh? Not only did he bring another woman, but now he was acting distant and rude. I finally managed to ask, who is this? John smiled. My girlfriend, or better yet, my future wife. What? The woman beside him giggled and playfully tapped his shoulder. Oh, John, don't say future wife, that's embarrassing, she said, laughing. I was confused. What do you mean? I asked. You don't get it? John scoffed. We're divorced. What? Wait, was he cheating on me? Adultery sounds bad, John said casually. I just found someone I love more, that's all. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I'm just tired of you, he continued. Huh? Men like women who take care of themselves, he said, wrapping his arm around the other woman. Are you saying I didn't take care of myself? You got fat and bloated, lying around all the time. I was speechless. I had been pregnant, of course, I gained weight. So you cheated because of that? I asked, still in shock. I want to feel excited about my wife, even after marriage, John said, but I lost those feelings for you, and then I met someone better. He and the woman started flirting right in front of me. I had reached my limit. Fine, I said, my voice shaking with anger, just divorce me and get out of here. I was already leaving, he said smugly. And just like that, they walked out of the hospital room. John never once asked about the baby. He didn't even ask if it was a boy or a girl. It was clear, he didn't care about us anymore. I was a single mom now. It all hit me at once, just after giving birth, my whole world fell apart. As I sat there feeling numb, the door suddenly opened. Huh? I looked up, startled. Standing there was John, and his mother. Why? I asked, confused. Linda, I heard everything. I'm really sorry for what my foolish son did, my mother-in-law said. She had run into John and his girlfriend in the parking lot. When she confronted him, he told her the same things he had told me. She sent the woman home, then dragged John to my hospital room. What do you think you're doing? She scolded him. You cheated on your wife while she was pregnant, and now you want a divorce? If your father were still alive, he would have knocked some sense into you. John's father had passed away a few years ago. I didn't have a choice, John whined. She came to me first, and I fell in love with her. How did I ever marry such a man? I see, so you love her that much, I said coldly. Then my mother-in-law turned to me. Linda, do you still want to stay married to John? I had already made up my mind. No, I want a divorce right now. Well, that's fine, she said. John's face lit up. Then there's no problem, he said cheerfully. But then my mother-in-law continued. Since you cheated, you'll pay alimony and child support. What? John's smile disappeared. Of course, she said firmly, you cheated, so you have to take responsibility, and if you divorce Linda, I'll stop sending you money. John looked shocked. What? No way. Wait, sending money? I asked. You didn't know? My mother-in-law said, turning to me. His salary is low, so he asked me to send him money every month. He told me he needed it to take care of you. I had no idea. Yes, John's salary was low, but I earned more, so I had been covering our expenses. That meant, he had been using his mother's money to cheat on me. My mother-in-law was furious. I want every dollar back, she snapped. I'm cutting you off completely. Don't ever come to my house again. No, wait, John panicked. She ignored him and turned to me. Linda, I'm sorry you had to deal with this. I'll get you a good lawyer. Take as much money from him as you can. Thank you so much, I said, relieved. With that, my mother-in-law dragged John out of the hospital. I filed for divorce and demanded alimony and child support from John. I also made sure his mistress paid for what she did. In the end, John was left with nothing. His debts piled up, his mother abandoned him, and his girlfriend dumped him when she realized he had no money. Now, he spends his life struggling to pay alimony and child support, living alone and broke. I have no plans to let my child see him. He should spend the rest of his life regretting what he did. As for me, I went back to work and am raising my child as a happy single mom. I still keep in touch with my wonderful mother-in-law and let her see her grandchild. My ex-husband was a terrible man, but at least I met an amazing mother-in-law because of him. Cheating on your pregnant wife is disgusting. I wish there were a harsher punishment for people like him. But at least that woman got rid of the trash for me. Now, my daughter and I can finally be happy.